Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now redubbed Legends. We are inching ever so closer to depression and craziness, but we still have a few moments of levity, though also quite dark for what is a kid's story, essentially. But welcome back. We are in the next big arc of the, not Junior, because that was focused on Anakin's solo primarily. We're back to the original gang of the young Jedi Knights, and we got done with the big Shadow Academy arc, which I have to say, relatively in the whole thing, obviously we know that these characters are going to be in future things, but even still, this felt, the first arc, the first 6 books, felt very much like, I don't know, like a Saturday morning cartoon. I never took the Shadow Academy too seriously, and I never thought of it as much of a big threat. It is the galaxy's equivalent of someone robbing a bank. Like, yeah, that's serious, but nothing in scale of what we've seen before. This is still nothing compared to what we will see, but this is a bit more of a, in my opinion, a consequential arc. We only have 5 books to review this time. I'm gonna try to give a spoiler-free synopsis of each book, you know, in relatively rapid succession, because we have quite a bit to talk about, and then I'll go into spoilers, and we'll go on. So the first book we have is Young Jedi Knights, Book 7, The Shards of Alderran. So, basically there's a whole asteroid, something, there's a field of, you know, chunks left over from Alderaan. That's just an area over where Alderaan used to be, with chunks left over from it. And people don't really go over there anymore, because there's no planet, it's just debris. But Leia's birthday is coming up, which they never mentioned Luke when they're twins, so it would be both their birthdays. Maybe Jedi don't celebrate birthdays, though I don't think so. I think they just forgot to mention that it was also Luke's birthday. That was one thing I found a little annoying, because they keep mentioning Leia's birthday as if Leia and Luke have separate birthdays, but their birthday will be on the same day because they're twins, but whatever. Anyway, it's Leia's birthday. It's Leia and Luke's birthday, and Jason and Jaina want to get a gift for their mother. So what they think to do is to get a little chunk of Alderaan and mold it into something and give it to their mother as a gift, sentimental gift, because her planet got blown up. And so that is basically book 7. Of course, Boba Fett does show up, and I'll get more into that in spoilers, but I'm going to say right now, because of retcons in future books, that indeed was not actually Boba Fett, because a lot of people were upset with how Boba Fett was portrayed and how he got beat by kids, or, just, got outmaneuvered, but we find out later on that is not, in fact, Boba Fett. But I'll get in that more in spoilers. Book 8, The Diversity Alliance. Now, I have to say, this is where we get to the overall plot of the books. We get hints of it in the previous book, like we get mentions of their names, but this is where we really get into learning more about it. What I will say is, as funny as the name is itself, the Diversity Alliance, this was, considering the time that I'm reading this will be dated in the future, but we are in 2020 currently, with a whole bunch of things going on, and I was surprised with how, at least in my opinion, relevant this actually was for today. But basically, the Diversity Alliance is an organization that is comprised of a bunch of alien species that are sick of the oppression that they had under the Empire by humans, because in the Legends continuity, it is specified that Emperor Palpatine, because they basically made an excuse for why primarily I mean, there were black people and, you know, Asians and stuff that we just didn't get to see because of when the original movies were made. But, you know, we primarily only saw white people. But it's only because, you know, back when it was made. But we never see aliens, usually. There are aliens, but we don't see any of them in the movies that work for the Empire. And that's because, while the Emperor was not racist, he was extremely speciesist. He thought every other species that was not human to be lesser than humans. So, the Diversity Alliance is sick of the oppression, even though the New Republic has not been oppressive in the slightest, but whatever, kind of like America today. Don't at me. Don't fight me, okay? Let's just enjoy Star Wars. It's okay, actually, if you want to, you know, yell at me in the comments, it's fine. Or dislike the video, because that would only give me more views and give more attention to my video. The best thing you can do if you don't want me to get traction is just don't do anything, just leave. But if you want to dislike it, that's fine. And if you comment, great. I'm open to discussion. But anyway, the leader, Nala Tarkana, her whole thing is, I want to kill all the humans. Every single one of them. For the sins of the fathers. And even the ones that had nothing to do with it. Because, why not? And here's another hot take for you. It's essentially BLM right now. And I just lost all fans and subscribers. It's a joke. Relax. I know there's more nuance to everything, but it's a joke. Anyway, we basically just get to learn more about the Diversity Alliance. And then we move on to Book 9, which is Delusions of Grandeur. Basically, IG-88 is back. Dengar. You know, that guy that has the white stuff, kind of looks like a mummy. Not a mummy, but I don't know, he's got a bunch of wrappings around his face. He was in the ship where Vader was hiring a bunch of bounty hunters. Trying to see what I can talk about. We learn about a virus that can kill all humans. And I'm going to move on to Book 9 because spoilers. Or Book 10, sorry. Which is Jedi Bounty. In this one, essentially, in the previous book, Lobaka went to the Diversity Alliance like headquarters, and our main group, they want to go talk to him because they don't think he should be there, and bad things happen. And then Book 11, which is The Emperor's Plague, is the epic finale to this entire arc, and everything gets resolved, essentially. I'm not going to tell you anything about that one because, I mean, if you haven't read the previous ones, why would you be reading this? So, that's pretty much it for non-spoilers. Overall, I have to say, I think this arc, Book 7 through 11, were significantly... I mean, I enjoyed the Shadow Kami arc a lot, but I enjoyed this arc a whole lot more. This was really, really good. Like, especially for, a young adult novel, I thought this was really good. It was surprisingly dark sometimes as well. Like, we have, like, a wolf man who, like, cleans blood off of him because he just ate a human, and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed it overall. I think it's well worth your time. If you can find it for free on the internet, I would suggest doing that because unlike a lot of, EU books that you can get, like on Kindle for like maybe like $7, if you're going to go try to find any of these books and pay for them, you're going to be looking into like $24, $50 price ranges depending on who you're looking at because these books have become rarer and rarer and rarer to get a hold of. So unless you're a big collector, these books are going to be hard to obtain all of them. So if you can find somewhere free, that's probably what you're going to do. So that's pretty much it for non-spoilers. If it sounds interesting, you should go check it out. I'm going to get into spoilers now. So if you don't want spoilers, skedaddle. Anyway, so Book 7, The Shards of Alderaan. They're fixing up the Academy since, of course, the Shadow Academy messed it up. Again, this is why it's kind of confusing with the Junior Jedi Knight series, because they never explicitly say whether the Academy has been destroyed or not. But that was the best place I could put it, so that's why that video came out before this one. Raynar, who I don't think I've ever really mentioned, and maybe I should have mentioned him in the spoiler-free, but it's too late now. Raynar was sort of a bully. He was never like a big bully or anything. He was just kind of like slightly antagonistic, but he's still relatively a good kid. He becomes really one of the main group in this series, and his dad goes missing. That's where the whole plot kind of begins. I went back. We'll learn about Nola Tarkana, who is a Twi'lek with only one head tentacle thing. And her sister was someone who didn't dance well enough, I guess, for Jabba, and got eaten by the Rancor. So, sucked to be her. And she's not happy about that. And I mentioned how Boba Fett was not Boba Fett. Now, when this was written, of course, the authors who wrote this book fully intended for this character to actually be Boba Fett. Like, when they wrote it down, they were thinking this is Boba Fett. But so many people disliked everything about it that later on it was retconned, and we find out, I haven't even met her yet, but we find out that Boba Fett has a daughter. And then this is actually Boba Fett's daughter, who is, her name is Elaine Vel, Elaine Vel, and she's actually the one who's taken his armor and is going around doing bounties, but it's not actually Boba Fett. We get a mention of the Diversity Alliance. We don't learn too much about it in Book 7, but we do hear mentions of it. And there's a part, I thought it was kind of interesting, because Jaina just talks about how she wants to matter. How she doesn't want to just be, and it's not out of arrogance or anything, she just, similar to Anakin in a way, you know, except she's not afraid of who she is. Her family, you know, we have the chief of state, we have Han Solo's famous smuggler turned famous war veteran, essentially. Luke Skywalker, who in this era of Star Wars is essentially Yoda. Like, Yoda was like the top tier, like, Jedi Master. And since everyone else is like teenagers and kids, you know, only some adults at this point, who are the other teachers of the Academy that we don't really hear about till New Jedi Order, but they're there. He's the Yoda of this time period. And so those are big shoes to fill. And so it'd be really lame if you're, you know, the child of all these people and you don't do anything of note or worth. But you will, Jaina. There's a lot of stuff you'll be doing. And stories that we won't get to see because they got canceled due to Disney. Sadly. But you do a lot, from what I hear and what I've read. Read is in terms of, like, Wikipedia, not in terms of stories. But yeah, just, she'll get her wish. And it may not be exactly how she expects it to be. Anyway. Zach is... Yeah. So I wrote, if people dislike, or if people like Zach, then they have to like Kip. Because people give Kip Durin from the Jedi Academy series a lot of crap. Because, first off, he's being controlled by a dark Sith spirit from like 4,000 years ago. And destroyed a planet or whatever. I don't exactly remember. But yeah, it was bad. But people are like, oh, how dare you forgive him? This is why, you know, people think, oh, I'm so good, I'm so righteous. That guy deserves it. If they were Christian, they wouldn't have that same mindset. Now, Zach has a very similar arc because in the Shadow Academy arc, he joins the Shadow Academy. He goes and harms quite a few people. He helps destroy... It's not the same thing. He doesn't destroy a planet. I get it. But he does destroy the temple, and he hurts people. And then turns good. People are fine with it. But they're not fine with Kip. I just find that infuriating. I really like Kip. And I believe we're going to get more of him in New Jedi Order. And I'm excited, because he was one of my favorite Expanded Universe characters that I've read about so far. And I already mentioned the gang goes to get a present for Leia. Zach kind of friend zones Jaina. Jaina clearly has had a crush on him since we first met him in book 3 of the Young Jedi series. Though that might change. It seems like it was hinted that might be different after the fact. I don't know. We'll see. There's only 3 books left to read in this entire series before we move on to New Jedi Order. But as of right now, I don't know. Anything, it's up in the air. Then we get to book 8. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be long. Book 8, we get to Diversity Alliance finally. Oh, so the first thing Boba Fett is talking to Nala Tarkana, the leader of the Diversity Alliance. And she is so curious to know what Boba Fett looks like underneath. And he says, I remove my helmet for no one. What I find amazing about this, though, is because of the retcon, if it was Boba Fett, you go, well, because he's big and cool, and he's not going to show his face to nobody. But at the same time, if you're his daughter, pretending to be your father, of course you wouldn't want to take off your helmet. But that could be a good excuse for why you won't. But of course, I don't know, I just thought that was somehow fit really well with the idea that it's the daughter of Boba Fett. My next note, Tino, Colin, Jason. They need to be together. I've said this since book 3, that I like them together, and I want them to be together. And that's their entire friendship, their entire chemistry. Every time they're not on screen, every time they're on the page together, it's fantastic. This may be. No, I say that every time. I don't know, but it's so good. You don't understand. They're not even romantic yet, but it's good. It's really so good. I don't know what else to say about them other than they are one of the best duos in Star Wars movies or otherwise. Period. I mean, you can't beat Princess Leia and Han, but right underneath that, I might put them. I don't know. I need to read everything first before I can make that perfectly clear. But we get to learn a bit more about Raynar in these books, because we didn't really know too much about him except that he was like a rich, kind of like snobby brat in the first 6 books. But here we really get to humanize him and learn more about this kid. Rabba, who was the friend of Lobaka, who tried to do the same like adult right path thing that they do as Wookiees, and they all assume she was dead, but she's not. She's working for the Diversity Alliance now. So that was a cool revelation. IG-88 shows up. How is he back? Because apparently, I haven't read it yet, but I know because I watched Matt Wilkins' videos, which you should check out. At the time, I'm ahead of him, though, on the Young Jedi Knight series, because he just uploaded today, at the time of this recording, the Delusions of Grandeur review. So I've surpassed the moment. Of course, I haven't read everything that he's read, though. And he doesn't read them, he just goes from memory. But anyway, I'm completely off point. So there's a book called The Death Star, where it basically fixes all the contradictions in the EU about the Death Star and makes it all fit into a cohesive whole. Which, again, is another thing I love about the EU is continuity. There's one thing that no other fictional work really has. Like, it makes everything fit like a glove. Almost. I mean, there's still contradictions, but 98% of it fits beautifully. Yeah, so that entire book was made to just retcon any contradictions in the EU about the Death Star. And one of the things that happened is we learn about IG-88 trying to download himself into the Death Star so he could control it himself and destroy whatever he wants and whatever. Of course, the Death Star blew up before he could take full control. So how is he back? Is it a contradiction? We'll have to wait till the next book. So, apparently there are centaurs in Star Wars now. I didn't know this. Like half horse, half human things. With horns, though, this time. I didn't... This is from the Crystal Star. Because there's a character from the Crystal Star that I didn't read that got kidnapped with the Solo twins in that book. And she's back now. And she did work for the Diversity Alliance in between that time. But she realized, how bad they were and left. And I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll roll with it. You're a cool character. You're written well. But really? Interesting. That was really weird. But now when I go through the EU again, that's definitely have to read the Crystal Star to just... okay. It was weird. And of course I mentioned Dengar shows up. But at this point, he's got to be, what, pushing 50 or 60? Same with, I mean, now we know that it's Boba Fett's daughter, but if you're assuming that it's Boba Fett, then he's like in his 60s or 70s too. Like, how are these guys still so good? It's crazy. But anyway, now we're going to move on, finally, to finally. I mean, I've been stuck on 2 books forever. Book 9, Delusions of Grandeur. And again, I'd say it's oddly relevant to today. That's really all I have to say, because a lot of stuff that's talked about is, I'm like, wow, that applies so much to today. It's weird. They mentioned the Krytos Plague from the X-Wing Rogue Squadron series, which was a wonderful, ploy by Yusan Isgard, whatever, the Imperial leader at the time, because they were like, let's make a virus, or let's use this virus that affects only non-humans and let it cause division amongst the New Republic that had just won over Coruscant. It was perfect. It was a perfect plan. But that gets mentioned because apparently the Emperor had many, many, many plagues. For any alien he thought needed to be taught a lesson. But he also made one for humans. Problem is, he likes humans. And he originally made it because he's like, this can help us defeat the rebels. But that thing spreads super well. So he scrapped that project, but left it at a secret place. Because Palpatine has just all the utmost ideas to destroy all of his opponents, and then just doesn't use half of it. But the bad guys this series find out about it. But yeah, so it's just nice to hear a reference to the X-Wing Rogue Squadron series, because it gives credence to the idea of reading everything, because no one would get that if this was their first book. They'd be like, what's that about? Whereas I'm like, yeah, I read that. I know what that's about. That's crazy. It's all connected. Oh my, it's amazing. The first MCU right here. And then, as I said before, this is the book I think where we finally really learn that the Diversity Alliance plans to kill all humans by virus. So, imagine, white people oppressed us in the past. Some of them are still racist. So, we're gonna biologically kill through disease every single white person on the planet because of sins of past people. Kind of stupid if you ask me. We learn in this book that Tycho Thul, so there's no contradiction, found IG-88's original body and reprogrammed it. It's because IG-88 in the past was, somewhat sentient. It had, free will. This one doesn't. It's purely just a robot that follows orders. And he reprogrammed it to be, a bodyguard. We get a Black Fleet Crisis mention, which was really cool, because I actually really enjoyed that series. So it was cool to get a mention about it. And then that was basically my last note for that one. Now we move on to the second to final book in this arc, which is Book 10, Jedi Bounty. So the gang infiltrates the Diversity Alliance headquarters because they know Lobaka is there, and they don't want him to be, indoctrinated or anything like that. And they also know that if he himself, naturally, because, he's a Jedi, he knows better, doesn't want to be a part of this, that if Nala Tarkana, the Twi'lek that's in charge of everything, thinks that he has understood things enough and still doesn't choose to join, then that's worthy of treason, which means time to kill him. So who the kids are is great, because for no death. That was a weird note that I made. So, basically, I thought it was really well done. Like, it wasn't some stupid reason, like, oh, go lock them up. Like, the only reason Nala Tarkana does not kill these kids, is because each one of them happen to be important political figures. Raynar's parents are part of a big fleet that are also refugees from Alderaan, and they're fairly rich. We got Jason and Jaina, who are the sons of the Chief of State of the New Republic, Leia, and then, I think that was everyone at the time. So you have these, 3 kids that can be used for, for political means, and so that's the only reason she doesn't kill them. But it was a good excuse for why you didn't do it, so I like that. Only thing last I have to say for this book. Ginoka and Jason. And I put a heart because I didn't want to take up too much space. So there's a whole part where they gotta go up to the cold part of the planet Ryloth or whatever. And they're freezing. And they gotta stay warm. You talk together. But it wasn't just that or anything. The entire scene revolving around them trying to survive out there and stuff like that. And throughout this entire series, Jason always tries to make, Tino Call laugh. And he always says, stupid jokes because he just wants to see her smile. And while they're in this cold and, they're being huddled together, because they gotta, and they're teenagers. And, he's like, I really like being this close to her or whatever, but, not in, a dirty way, because they're still, I don't know, it's, the way they talk about it is innocent enough to where, they know that they have, weird feelings about this person, but it's not I want to see this person naked. That's not their mindset. They're just, it's a very sweet kind of, thinking. But she asks him to tell a joke only because she knows it'll make him feel better, and because she knows it will make her feel better. Not because she actually finds anything she says funny, but she finds it comforting when he does that, because he knows that he's doing it for her. But anyway, that just the entire section where they're out in the cold, out in the heat, and they're together. Oh, it's my heart. Though they're still not together by the end of this book, but the way it's written, I knew at that point they had to be getting together at some point, because there's no way that they're gonna screw me over like that and just not do it. And then we get to the final book, Book 11, The Emperor's Plague. We get a Delana reference, because freaking Han is with them, because they just came back from the Diversity Alliance. They're all healed up now. It's been a couple weeks, and they're just happy to see their kids are safe, and so they're having dinner. And it's just one sentence, but there's a Delana reference. If you remember, I reviewed the A.C. Crispin Han Solo trilogy, and in it we learned that he was kind of raised by this Wookiee lady on Corellia. And I was like, oh, my heart. I haven't heard him talk about her in so long. So it was really nice to hear about her again. And Palpatine and his racism. My goodness, he just always has a plan to just screw over anyone he dislikes, because he's the Emperor, baby. He's just one of the greatest villains of all time. And he always has one plan after another in reserves, contingency upon contingency upon contingency. And I love how his reign of terror, it's been so many years since the events of the movies, and his despicableness is still being felt throughout the galaxy, which is like the stuff he has left over from experiments that he never actually went through with, but didn't destroy either. Oh, my next note, Nala, you suck. And now you suck more. So she finally gets to the station with all the deadly plagues. And she's thinking in her head, you know, like, yes, now I can finally get rid of all the humans, which is bad enough, and super speciesist or whatever. But then she's like, but you know what? I know that while I'm in charge and helping make every species equal, there's always going to be those people that try to ruin my vision, that try to destroy the peace that we have brought. So I'll just take some of these biological weapons with me in case any species has the wrong thought, thinks the wrong way, tries to take me out, becoming the very thing she despised. She's such a hypocrite. So not only is she going to kill the humans, but she's going to bring these other viruses and keep them just in case the other races decide they don't like the way she runs things well enough. She's like, I don't want to kill any alien, only the humans. They suck, they gotta go. But once she has all that power, she's willing to take out the rest of them if they become a problem. Terrible person. You suck. You suck. I hate you almost as much as I hate Borsk Fela from the Thrawn trilogy. And that takes a lot, because he's a piece of crap. Anyway, sorry. I'm hyper today. It was actually really depressing. I was really surprised. I thought I knew what was going to happen. So Raynar's dad's like, oh my goodness, I got to stop her before all this happens, and you guys just got to get to safety. I thought for sure he was going to die saving the day. But as he's running to stop Nala, Raynar's dad, one of her minions just starts being a stupid idiot, starts shooting just in all directions at him, and he ducks and he misses it. But it hits all of the vials in the containment room. And Raynar tries to avoid most of it, but some splashes get on him. And he doesn't save the day. He doesn't defeat Nala. He just dies, having everything he tried to do be in vain. He did nothing to help. He died for nothing. Because I completely thought it was going to be predictable. Like, he was just going to go and save everyone. And that was going to be the end of the book. But he did it. He died for nothing. I was like, that sucks. Palpatine. Imagine Palpatine from episode 3. Ironic. You could save others from dying, but he could not save himself. So, Nala does escape from the overall onslaught of the good guys winning. But guess what? She's coughing. One of those vials had the Twilight Plague, and she's infected now. So now she's dying of the very thing that she was going to use on the humans. And any other alien who got in her way. Now, Rabba, Loi's old friend, and he possibly had more feelings for her, it's kind of hinted at, but she's going to stay loyal to her, but she's not going to harm or put in danger not only the human species, but any species that might be affected by her simply walking in there. So she takes her to some random planet. They go hide in a cave, and Nala keeps begging her to take her to Coruscant so they can get others infected, other Twi'leks that have betrayed them infected. And she doesn't. She just takes care of her until she finally dies. Rabba gets sick too, but she doesn't die. So I don't know if they're going to do anything else with that. But as of right now, she's still alive. She's going to possibly stay on the planet forever. Who knows? And yeah, then everybody, you know, it's a couple days later, a week later, something like that. The main characters are back at Yavin 4, and they're all just having a good time. And I love it because Jason's like, I can't imagine that we'll ever see anything crazier than this, or something like that. It's like, you will. But when he says that, Tinoka says, "Oh, really?" or something like that, and she turns him around and kisses him. And I was like, yes! I have been waiting so long for this. I feel so vindicated. I have been waiting forever for them to be a thing, and it happened. And I literally went, when I finished reading, I was like, yeah, because it's like the last sentence of the book. I was like, yeah, let's go. Of course, it's also maybe a bad thing that they're together for future reasons, but I won't get into that. It might be depressing. But as of right now, I'm really, really, really freaking happy. And that's all I really have to say about this arc, the Diversity Alliance arc. It's a funny name, by the way. But overall, I really, really enjoyed this. If you stayed this long, you've probably already read this series, and you probably read it when you were younger too. But let me know what you thought about the series in the comment section below. Did you think it was kind of garbage? Did you think it was as good as I did? Did you think Tinoka and Jason should be a couple like I did? And are you excited for the future stuff that's coming up? I don't know. You let me know in the comment section below. So far, I've consistently been getting comments from my old pastor, Jonathan, and that's really cool. So, because no one else comments, no one else loves me. But that's okay. I mean, I never expected these videos to get views. I'm purely doing this for fun because I don't have a job right now. Because getting a job is hard. And I gotta do something with my time. And I have all these books just sitting at my fingertips, so why not? But yeah, I'm so excited to get to New Jedi Order. Not because it's gonna be happy fun times, but just because it takes place around the same time as the sequels would have taken place, so I will try to keep my comparisons to a minimum, but when we get to Legacy of the Force, it's going to be kind of unavoidable because of stuff that happens within it. But I'm really excited to get to it because New Jedi Order is essentially the next big saga in the series, so with a Yusong bomb, which I'm really looking forward to. We have 3 more books in the Young Jedi Knight series, and then we'll begin that. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, sharing episode a ton. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.